Hey people, hope you guys doing great. In today's video we will see, what if Naruto got adopted by the Kimihito family and built harem with monster girls? Huge shout out to deamondragonsclaw for this story. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe and like the video. So let's start the story. It was a quiet, beautiful morning. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and everything was peaceful. Inside an average two-story house, a boy of about 15 with golden blonde hair and bright blue eyes was twitching in annoyance. The reason? He was currently being strangled by the girl in his bed. How the hell did I end up in this situation again? The boy wondered to himself, a small twitch in his eye. Oh yeah, my adopted parents decided to sign us up for that different species cultural exchange program before leaving for America on a vacation. The boy in question was 15-year-old Naruto Uzumaki, who was living in the house of his adopted parents. 3 years ago, after the failed mission to retrieve Sasuke from going to Orochimaru, Naruto was taken out of the village by Jiraiya, who decided to take him past the barrier surrounding the elemental nations. A month after leaving the elemental nations, Naruto tricked Jiraiya into a paralysis seal, and ran like a bat out of hell. A week later Naruto was placed in an orphanage under the law of the world outside the barrier, before being adopted by Kimihito family before a new cultural exchange between species bill was passed. Over the next 3 years Naruto grew up as a normal teen and also learned about an interesting ability that Kyuubi had given him, the ability to transform into any of the extra species he saw or came into contact with. Currently Naruto was being suffocated by his house guest Maya. Maya had long bright reddish-pink hair, pointed ears and a long snake tail of the same color as her hair. She was wrapped around Naruto with a small loving smile on her face. "Maya, it's morning, you need to wake up so I can get breakfast made," Naruto said, trying to grab her tail, which was the weakness of all Lamia, something he learned the hard way. Just 5 more minutes, no, just 5 more degrees," she said, sleepily tightening her grip on him. "You know, if you don't get up I can't make you breakfast," he said as she slowly woke up. "By the way, why are you in my bed again?" "Well, I was cold and couldn't warm up, so I decided I would use you for it, darling." She had a seductive smile on her face. "I am a poikilotherm after all." "That's no excuse," he said, his legs turning into a snake tail, which allowed him to slither out of her grasp, wrap himself around her, and grab the tip of her tail, getting a gasp of surprise from her. "Now it's time for your punishment," she breathed into her ear as he began rubbing her tail, causing her to moan in pleasure. "Lime skip. I hope you learned your lesson from this," Naruto whispered into her ear as she lay on his bed, huffing in pleasure, nodding her head as drool poured out of her mouth. "Good, now I'm going to get your bath warmed up, then go get breakfast started. I'll see you downstairs." He gently kissed her cheek before leaving his room, Maya's face becoming as pink as her hair and scales. After getting Maya's bath ready, Naruto let out a sigh as he cooked breakfast for 3, while watching the news about a popular extra species group called ANM48. Sigh to think a few days ago I lived a relatively normal life, well for me anyways. Naruto muttered to himself before his legs morphed back into a snake, and he used his tail to grab the coffee he was making and poured it into a glass on the table. "You know, you don't have to sneak in." "I know, but I just want to make sure you didn't forget about me." Naruto turned to give the woman sitting at his table a deadpan look. The woman had long black hair and her eyes were hidden behind a pair of black sunglasses. She was wearing a white dress shirt, black tie, and black blazer with a professional skirt, nylon stockings and heels. She was Tsunade Smith, Naruto's cultural exchange coordinator. "I'm also here to make sure you're no engaging in any prohibited matters. You're just here to mooch free food again." She at least had the decency to blush at his accurate statement. "Well, whatever, just make sure to lock up when you finish eating. I was planning on taking Maya out today." "We're going out, yeah." Naruto suddenly found himself wrapped up in Maya's scaly tail, his face pushed into her fleece, which were covered by a white shirt that you could practically see through. "Where are we going?" "Well, I was thinking of showing you around a little, maybe a walk through the park." He got a wide smile in return before she kissed him on the lips, then hurried back to her room to get ready. "You know, that kiss could be considered a prohibited matter," Mrs. Smith said, drinking her coffee. "Normally yes, But we both know that I'm a special case, seeing as I can become a male version of any extra species, even the ones that are only female-oriented species, such as a lamia or harpy. They had a small staring contest before she let out a small sigh. I'm ready. The both turned to see Maya standing at the entrance to the kitchen wearing a brown skirt, with a belt, a red shirt under a brown jacket, and a hat perched on top of her head. Let's get going, darling. She grabbed Naruto's arm and dragged him out of the house, leaving Mrs. Smith alone in the kitchen. It's a date, we're on a date. Maya sung happily as they walked through a crowded street, everyone turning to look at Maya in curiosity. Well, what do you want to do first? Naruto asked with a small smile at seeing her happy. He enjoyed seeing people happy, though he could never explain why. Over the next few hours the two enjoyed their date. They ate a nice lunch at a local family restaurant. Naruto won Maya a few stuffed animals from a crane game at the local arcade, and they even took a few pictures in a dating booth, the last picture showing Naruto kissing Maya, who had steam coming out of her ears. Well, that was fun, so what do you want to do next? Maya had a wide smile on her face, as she hugged a snake plushie, until something caught her eye. Look, darling, that shop all kinds of species, and they're having a sale, let's go in. She said, dragging him to a shop with a sign out front that read, a shop for all sizes, we serve people of all species and sizes. It's a lingerie shop. Naruto let out a small sigh before smiling and following Maya inside. It wasn't that he was nervous about seeing Maya in underwear. Hell, most of the time she crawled into his bed naked and wrapped herself around him. He was worried about the chakra signatures he sensed entering the barrier he placed around the town, finding him and causing a disturbance. After he had been adopted by the Kimihito family, Naruto continued his training and, worried that Konoha might send people after him, used his natural ability with sealing to put up a giant barrier around the town to let him know when any shinobi entered the town. He also put seals on his house that made it practically impenetrable. The only thing that would be able to get through the barriers around his house being a Baijidama from the Nanabai, Hachibi, or Kyubi. Hey darling, which one do you think looks better? Maya asked, holding up two different bras, breaking him out of his thoughts. Well, I think they both look good on you, but why are you asking me? He asked, a strange feeling in the pit of his stomach at her answer. Oh good, you see I don't really wear a bra, so I wouldn't know. She gave a sultry smile as she leaned forward and pulled down the neck of her shirt, showing she wasn't wearing a bra, along with her friest. Once they were done shopping, Naruto holding a few bags in his hands, the two walked down the street, without a care in the world. So, where do you want to go next? Naruto asked, noting her blush. Wherever you want to go, darling, she said lovingly, making Naruto go a little pink. Still not used to having someone show him this type of affection, he never really had anyone show him affection back in the nations. Holy, the hell is that thing? It called him darling. Naruto gained a small twitch as an ugly woman began laughing at Maya. Oh my god, it looks so creepy and gross, said the man next to her, only for them both to stop laughing when two blades appeared at their necks. If you value your lives, I suggest you apologize to her now, Naruto said from behind them, a cold, emotionless look in his eye that promised death if they refused. We're sorry, please forgive us, the two stuttered out, as the steel pressed against their necks drew a small line of blood. Good, now if you ever make fun of her or any other species and I find out, you won't be able to hide from my blade. Now get out of my sight. The two ran off screaming, a yellow trail following behind them. Come on Maya, we should head home. Without another word, Naruto picked the Lamia girl up bridal style, causing her to blush, her tail wrapping around his torso, before they vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruto, can I ask why you did that earlier? It was almost time to start dinner, and the two were sitting in the living room, Maya sitting on his lap leaning her head against his chest. It's because I don't like seeing people make fun of the people close to me. Seeing her confused look, he let out another sigh. Before I was adopted by my family, I lived in an orphanage in a small village in the mountains. I don't know exactly why, but everyone there always made fun of me, and it really hurt. But when I came here, no one made fun of me and I was happy for the first time in my life. So when I see someone close to me being made fun of, it just makes me mad and I want to do anything in my power to make them smile again. He gave her one of his true smiles that he was only recently starting to let through. Without any warning, Maya leaned up and gently pressed her lips against his in a loving kiss, full of all of the emotions she felt for him. At first Naruto was stunned. No one had ever kissed him like this before, but after a few seconds, Naruto returned the kiss with equal passion, before they released each other both panting. I know you have a lot of secrets and that it's going to take some time before you trust me enough to tell me all of them, but I'm willing to wait until you do, and I'll always be here for you, darling. She gave him another small kiss before getting up and heading towards the door to the hall. Now I'm going to take a bath. I'll see you at dinner, unless you want to join me. Naruto smiled, walked over and kissed her before heading towards the kitchen to prepare dinner, missing the cute pout she had on her face. You know that could be considered a prohibited matter. Naruto didn't give of any sign that he was surprised that Mrs. Smith was sitting in his kitchen, since he wasn't. Ordinarily you'd be right, but you have to remember that I'm more like an extra species than a human, so the laws in the extra species bill don't apply to me or those under my protection. That's why you're around the house more than you would normally be. Naruto smirked at her as he began cooking enough for the three of them. Well, you're right, of course, so what's for dinner? Naruto turned to stare at her before chuckling at her attitude as he returned to his cooking, a funny feeling that things were about to get a lot more lively around his new home. It was a nice, beautiful morning. The sun was shining, the birds were chirping, and Maya was humming a cheerful tune as she helped Naruto hang the laundry on the roof. Well, you seem to be in a good mood this morning. Something good happen? Naruto asked the pink-haired Lamia, as he folded the dried cloths and placed them in a basket. It's because you were so cool yesterday, she said, stars in her eyes as she imagined how he stood up for her during their date. It was no big deal, really. He chuckled, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. Anyways, next time I want to be the one protecting you, darling. She smirked, heading inside. If you say so. He chuckled, watching her head inside with a smile, before a tug on the back of his shirt pulled him into the railing of the roof, knocking him out since he wasn't expecting it. Damn, what hit me? Naruto asked as he slowly opened his eyes a few minutes later only to find himself in a tree in a nearby park. Alright, what the hell, why am I in a tree? Oh, you're awake! Naruto looked up to see a girl in front of him. She had short light blue hair and caramel-colored eyes. Her legs were covered in scales, seeing as her feet were talons, and her arms were covered in sky blue feathers. She was wearing a pair of cut-off pants and a black tank top. Who are you? Naruto carefully positioned himself so there was room for her to land. A harpy, Poppy's a harpy, is what Poppy is, she cheered, landing on the branch next to him with a large smile. Oh, that makes sense. He smiled at her, causing her to blush. So mind telling me why you snatched me? I mean, where's your host family, since it's illegal for you to be alone, you know. That's why I brought you along. A large sweat drop appeared on the back of his head at her simple answer. Before Naruto could say anything, Poppy saw an ice cream truck and, with strength contradictory to her petite figure, pulled Naruto out of the tree towards the truck. What's that? Food? Does it have food? She asked, dragging Naruto for 3 steps before stopping, turning to Naruto, whose arm she had in her grasp, before letting go of him and backing away with a confused and weary look. How are you? Letting out a small sigh, and shaking his head, Naruto walked over and bought her an ice cream cone while he got an ice pop, before they sat on a nearby bench to eat and talk. After a few minutes, in which time they finished their treat, Poppy dripping it all over herself, the harpy girl was removing all of her cloth and heading towards the nearby fountain. What are you doing? Naruto asked, staring at the now naked harpy as she entered the water. Isn't this a bird bath? Another large sweat drop appeared on Naruto's head before, with a small sigh, Naruto removed his shirt and shoes, leaving him in a pair of shorts, before he transformed his arms growing blood-red feathers while his feet turned to talons, his legs becoming covered in scales. Wow, how'd you do that? Poppy asked with stars in her eyes. Well, let's just say that I'm special and leave it at that. He smirked before jumping into the fountain next to her. For a few minutes the two splashed each other and played in the water before Naruto froze. He could sense 3 chakra signatures headed towards his direction, and he recognized one of them. There you are! Naruto was brought back to his current location and turned to face an angry Maya standing there, her hair shadowing her eyes, giving an evil look. You birdbrain, first you steal my darling and now this. She gestured at both of them sitting in the fountain, Poppy but naked and Naruto in shorts. That is so unfair. Her statement caused everyone to sweat drop. Maya, I think you got the wrong idea. Naruto tried but was completely ignored. I want to run away with darling too, you damn bird, it's so unfair. Just go die. Maya yelled in her temper tantrum, which led to a cat fight between the two, which destroyed Maya's top, revealing her double D-size freeze to the world. I'm really glad Jiraiya's not here right now, he said with a small shake of his head, only to freeze upon hearing a voice behind him. Then it's a good thing we decided to check this city instead. Turning around at the sound of the monition voice, Naruto saw Gaara standing behind him, along with two women he didn't know. The first was a blonde from Kumo. Judging by her headband, she was wearing a short-sleeved black and purple blouse with black pants, both of which had a design similar to clouds on them, and purple fingerless gloves and a chain of white beads wound around her left hand. The second was a green-haired girl from Itachi. Judging from her headband, she was wearing a short, sleeveless white midriff shirt with fishnet armor underneath, long white armlets, and fishnet shorts with a short white apron skirt over it. Gaara, what are you doing here, and who are they? Naruto asked, reverting to his human form, which caught the attention of the two fighting girls. These are Yujito of Kumo and Fu of Taki. We were sent here to find you, Gaara said, getting a confused look from Maya. Darling, who are these people? Maya asked, getting a raised eyebrow from the Ichibi Jinchuriki. I'll tell you later, Naruto said, turning back to the three shinobi. You know, I never thought Konoha would hire you to come and drag me back. They didn't. That got a confused look from the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Once word that you had vanished reached the ears of Suna, the Akatsuki became active, so I decided that it was time to vanish. I left Suna and headed beyond the barrier in order to find you and warn you before vanishing myself. On my way here, I ran into both Yujito and Fu, who were on the run themselves, both having had a run-in with Akatsuki and narrowly escaping, so I offered them to come with me. Naruto nodded at that. He could sense Yoko coming from both of the girls. Alright, but why did you say it was good you checked this city instead? That made it sound like you were traveling with the pervert. No, we weren't traveling with the pervert, but we did see him and 4 teams from Konoha on the same boat we were on, Fu said with a smile. Yes, teams 8, 9 and 10 along with team 7 consisting of Sakura, a boy named Sai, and Sasuke. At the last name, Naruto's eyes became blood red while a foxtail and long fox ear appeared on his head. Before anything else could happen, Maya was wrapped around Naruto, his head on her freest, as she gently stroked his head, calmly whispering into his ear, slowly calming him down. Feeling better, darling? Maya asked once Naruto had calmed down, his fox features having disappeared. Yeah, thanks for that, Maya. He smiled at her before being tackled by Poppy, who had a wide grin on her face. Well, this looks like a party. The group of 6 turned to see Mrs. Smith with a smirk on her face holding a host certification card with Poppy's picture on it. So let me get this straight, I'm now Poppy's host, and because Gaara, Yujito and Fu all have the same abilities as me, you're making me watch them as if they were extra species? Mrs. Smith nodded her head with a small smile while drinking a cup of coffee. It had been a few hours since the incident at the park, and Naruto was currently cooking dinner for his 4 new housemates. After Mrs. Smith had arrived in the park, the group were about to head back to Naruto's house when they all heard a cry for help. Apparently, a little girl had gotten stuck in a tree. Without stopping to think, Naruto, Yujito, and Fu all jumped to help, each turning into a harpy and flying up to get the girl. Once the girl was safe, Naruto questioned the 2 female Jinchuriki and Kyuubi. Apparently their ability to transform into any of the different species was a power that all Jinchuriki got the moment they crossed the barrier hiding the elemental nations. That's exactly right, I'm glad you're so understanding of this. She smirked with a small pair of horns on her head, a small pair of bat wings on her back and a skinny tail waving behind her, causing Naruto to sweat drop. You're evil, you know that. Her smirk grew wider at that. I give up, I'm going to take a bath. He sighed and shook his head. Oh, Poppy wants to go too. Poppy will help her husband. the petite harpy said with a smile, dragging Naruto towards the door. Sure, go ahead. Have fun with Poppy, darling. Maya smiled, surprising Naruto by her cheerful attitude, since he had found that Maya was extremely jealous when it came to him and other women. Naruto watched with a small smile as a naked Poppy jumped into the bath. He knew that the girl was the same age as them, having read her certification card, but despite her age she was in species she was still innocent. It reminded him of himself before he made his first kill as a shinobi during the Chunin exams. Before anything else could be done, Maya burst through the door saying that she would take a bath with Poppy, anger and jealousy in her eye. Apparently she had found out Poppy's age. Uzumaki, can we talk? It was nearing midnight and Naruto was sitting on the roof of his house, watching the moon with a small smile. Sure, what do you three have on your minds? Naruto glanced over to see his three fellow Jinchuriki standing there. Well, we were wondering what you plan to do from now on, Yujito said, sitting down next to her fellow blonde. I plan to live a normal life here, free of worrying about Akatsuki, missions and war. Here I don't have to worry about what other people think of me, since to them I'm just a normal human. He saw the longing and worry in the eyes of his fellow Jinchuriki. Longing because all Jinchuriki are hated and feared and want to be seen as normal people, and worry because of the chance of the Akatsuki or their villages finding them. But just because I plan to live a normal life doesn't mean I won't be prepared. Smirking at the confused looks on the faces of his fellow shinobi, Naruto led them to the basement where they saw a seal on one of the walls. Walking over to the seal, Naruto added a little chakra to it, which caused the wall to open up, revealing a set of stairs leading farther into the ground. After following the stairs, Naruto fell on his butt laughing at the faces of his new housemates as they arrived in Naruto's special training room. The room, while 100 feet underground, was huge, easily rivaling the Forest of Death in size. The room was split into 4 different sections. In the north was a snow-covered mountain terrain with hot springs everywhere. In the east was a tropical-type forest with a swamp running along the farthest edge of it. The southern area was a rocky desert landscape with large sand traps everywhere. The western territory was a large body of water with a small beach connected to the other regions. The final region was the center of the room. Where they were standing was a large open field with a stream running towards the west from the small pond next to a large building the size of the tower in the Forest of Death. Wow, this place is huge, Fu said with wide eyes as she looked around in awe. Yeah, how long did it take you to make this place? Yujito asked, looking at Naruto with a raised eyebrow. With the help of my shadow clones, 6 months to dig the place out and another 6 to set up the seal and get everything in here. He smirked at their surprised looks. But that's not the best part. Wait until you see the Jutsu library. His smirk grew bigger as their jaws dropped at the size of the library he had in the tower. Uzumaki, where did you get all of these? Gaara asked, looking at all of the books and scrolls, which were all sorted by level of difficulty, type of technique, and element for the ninjutsu. That's my secret. Anyways, we should get to bed. We can start training tomorrow. The 3 nodded before they all headed up to bed. The next morning, as the sun peeked over the top of the surrounding houses, Naruto could be seen walking home from the local store, having gone to buy more food for his new house guests, since he knew Jinchuriki ate more than normal humans. Man, I'm glad we have that local 24-hour store nearby, otherwise we'd run out of food really fast. He smiled, thinking of his new housemates before being hit by something running at a fast pace. It appears I have met someone. It's certain to be fate. Naruto turned to see the speaker, only for his eyes to widen in surprise. Standing in front of him was a woman with long blonde hair tied in a ponytail. She was wearing a white shirt with a red ribbon around her neck, her shirt holding back her large G-cup size frieze, and a large skirt covering her legs. My name is Centauria Shianis, a member of the highly esteemed centaur race, she said proudly. You are the fated man that will become my master. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her. Oh yeah, I know Centauria. She was given special permission to go out alone because she's a centaur. Apparently it's a tradition for them to go out and find a master they can serve. Naruto gained a twitch in his eye at the lazy tone in Mrs. Smith's voice, after his little run-in with the centaur girl. He had called the special case worker to confirm the girl's story. Master, you mean her host family? Naruto asked confusedly. Why would someone look for a master? It didn't make sense, especially for a girl. Of course, he was still relatively new to a lot of the customs outside of the elemental nations. Sorry, I'm of duty today. Can I ask you to look after her for me? Thanks. With that, she hung up, leaving a twitching Naruto. I guess one should not look lightly upon Japan's magic charms. Naruto turned to look at the smiling centaur with a confused look. Magic charms? Centauria gave him a wide smile, her eyes shining like stars. If someone runs into an intersection and bumps into someone, they are your fated one. It's a Japanese fortune-telling magic charm, is it not? She smiled at her idea of the culture, causing Naruto to sweat drop. Whatever, so why are you looking for your fated one so early in the morning anyways? The centaur began to blush a little and looked away. Suddenly they both heard a scream. Turning, they saw a guy on a moped snatch a woman's purse and head straight for them. Reacting on instinct, Naruto grabbed Centauria and, using Kyuubi's chakra, jumped out of the way, surprising the centaur. That bastard, I'll show you! Without a second though, Naruto transformed into a centaur, again surprising Centauria, before moving at great speeds and backhanding the thief into a wall, before tying him up for the police and returning the purse. Later that night, Naruto was hiding behind Gaara. The reason? Centauria had decided that Naruto would be her master, pissing of Maya, who started a small fight between the two, getting chuckles from the two female Jinchuriki. After all was said and done, the four Jinchuriki headed down to the training room, as Naruto liked to call it. Alright guys, let's get to training. With that said, the four began their training, preparing for the day that Konoha or Akatsuki arrived. Alright, let's go over the rules for the interspecies exchange program. Naruto sighed as prepared breakfast while listening to Maya go over some made-up rules with his other two housemates. It had been a week since Centauria, or Syria, as she preferred to be called, had moved in with them. With the new addition to the house, Gaara, Yujito, and Fu each decided to move out by buying the vacant house across the street, using Naruto's money he made through his devil's luck. The three had made the backstory of being siblings who bought the house using an inheritance left to them by a dead uncle, and Mrs. Smith agreed to the story, since while they did fall under the Extra Species Act, they were still classified as human. Alright, you three, breakfast is ready. Naruto stuck his head into the living room at that moment, but really wished he hadn't, as Maya's eye became slits and she turned to face Syria, who was sweating nervously. Remember what I said, Maya said in an angry voice while glaring at the centaur, causing Naruto to sigh and rub the red hoof-shaped mark on his eye. Earlier that morning, after training with the others, having connected their new house with his training room, Naruto had headed to the bath to wash up before making breakfast. And not knowing that Syria had gone on a morning run, had walked in on her taking a bath, which was how he wound up with the mark on his face. After trying to explain what happened, minus the part of his training since he was still getting used to them living with him, Naruto again apologized to the centaur, which somehow led to Maya and Syria arguing about something. Naruto had stopped paying attention and decided to see what Poppy was doing. Looking around, Naruto suddenly noticed that the room was full of steam. Confused as to why there would be steam in the house, Naruto looked around and found the source of the steam, which was Poppy, who had passed out from trying to understand the exchange laws. Is something wrong, Poppy? He asked her calmly, looking over her shoulder. This interspecies law book is too hard, I want to go swimming, she said with sorrowful eyes, which changed immediately as she turned to face Naruto. Hey husband, let's go swimming together, it'd be boring alone. Naruto turned his head to see what Maya and Syria were doing, gaining a large sweat drop at the sight of them fighting. Before turning back to Poppy and nodding his head in agreement, he had already eaten his own breakfast, and had sat out plates for the three girls to eat when they were hungry. Alright Poppy, let's go. With small cheer, the two went up to the bathroom, to swim as Poppy called it. After checking the water temperature, which was a little cold, the two stripped, Poppy taking off all of her cloth while Naruto stripped down to his boxers, before getting into the water with a satisfied sigh as he floated on his back. Before grunting as Poppy jumped onto his stomach with a smile. Well, this is nice, like a father and daughter otter. Naruto chuckled at his comparison. Poppy thinks we're more like siblings. She smiled, getting a confused look from the Jinchuriki. If Poppy had a big brother, he'd be someone like you. What do you mean, someone like me? He asked with a small smile. He had never had someone like Poppy in his life before. I mean, look, you play with me, buy me ice cream, gently scold me when I do something bad, and you praise me too. Naruto's smile grew a little. She was right. He was like a big brother to her in a way. Poppy only had girls around her, so I never knew what it was like to have a brother. Naruto almost smacked himself. Of course she had never had a brother. She was a harpy, which was a female-only race. Naruto and Gaara would probably be considered the first male harpies in existence, since they were the first male Jinchuriki to cross the barrier around the elemental nations. But I've always wanted one, so I'm really happy right now. Naruto gave her a kind and gentle smile, before kissing her forehead. I'm really glad you see me as a big brother, Poppy. She gained a wide smile on her face. Then let's get along like a brother and sister would, okay? She smiled as she moved his hand to her wrist, which he unconsciously squeezed as he realized what she was implying. You know that's not how siblings act, right? He asked cautiously. He had read up on the cultures of all three of his housemates. That way he didn't offend them somehow, and he knew that both Maya and Poppy were exposed to the topic of sex at an early age, since both their species were women only, and knew that their view of things were very different than a human's. Then Poppy will make you. Her eyes were gleaming as she jumped off of him, then lunged with her talons, but rolled out of the way as arrows flew by her. My goodness! I underestimated you because I assumed you were a child, but I hear you are the same age as me, so I will not let you act in such a manner. Syria appeared in the door holding a bow and arrow. Thanks, Syria, but don't you think that was a little much? Naruto asked only to realize she wasn't listening to him. Master, come, jump on my back. Naruto sighed, as he nodded his head and walked over to her, before hopping on her back, both of them blushing since getting on a centaur's back was basically the same as having sex in centaur culture. Hold it right there. The two looked over at Maya. Hal looked angry. Saving Darling when he's in trouble is my job, so what are you doing here? Syria narrowed her eyes at Maya, causing Naruto to groan, before she ran out of the house with him on her back, completely ignoring the lamia. Let's go all the way to the park, Master. Poppy won't be able to follow you. Naruto sighed as he sat on Syria's back. She didn't know that Poppy always left the house without an escort, whether she was supposed to or not. Master, are you alright? Syria asked as she walked calmly through the park, Naruto still riding on her back, his head on her shoulder, and his arms wrapped around her waist. Yeah, I'm fine, just a little tired. Poppy's really energetic. He chuckled a little. The harpy reminded him a little of himself when he was younger, even if they were the same age. Really? Then, could you please remove your hands? Naruto blinked in confusion, before realizing his hands were clutching something big and soft, unconsciously squeezing, getting a soft moan from her. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. His face reddened a little as he slid of her back. No, it's alright, I serve you, my master, so it's not a huge problem, she said, not noticing the small glare Naruto gained when she called him master. Syria, I am not your master, he said seriously. He knew Centaur's goal in life was to find a master they can serve, like the knights of old serving a king. Don't say that. She yelled, a hurt and offended look in her eyes. Centaurs are valiant knights who value their loyalty above all else. That is why we search for a master that we can serve. My father, his father, and his father before him all lived that way. Before I am a woman, I am a knight. This is the heart of our species, do not deny it. Naruto could see the hurt in her eyes, along with the passion. I know, I'm not trying to deny. She gained a confused look. It's just that, where I'm originally from, the word master isn't seen in a positive light. It's actually hated by almost everyone. Also, my first friend died in protecting the person he called master. Syria gasped at this. It was the most she or either of the other two girls had heard about his past. They had all asked, but he had always avoided the questions. That's why I said I'm not your master. If anything, you're my partner. We look out for each other. But you don't serve me, alright? She nodded, tears in her eyes. Alright. She whipped the tears out of her eyes, happy that he wasn't rejecting her culture. With a smile, Naruto took his centaur form, which made him a head taller than Syria, before moving aside her bangs and gently kissing her forehead, causing her face to light up. Good, now is there anything you want to try while we're here? The girl looked around, her face imitating the sun. Before her eye landed on a couple walking through the park, holding hands and smiling at each other. Following her gaze, Naruto's eyes landed on the couple and a small smile crossed his lips, along with a light pinkish color. Gently taking her hand, Naruto smiled at her, before noticing her face had increased in color, and that she had small tears running down her cheeks. Naruto froze, thinking he had done something wrong, before remembering that when the person the centaur considers their master is able to read something they desire, it was seen as a sign of true devotion. You know, you're really cute when you blush like that. He smiled before leaning in and kissing her on the forehead again, causing steam to pour out of her ears as her face lit up. Suddenly the two were broken out of their moment as something crashed behind them. Turning, they saw Maya yelling at Poppy for dropping her. Maya, are you alright? Naruto asked, getting their attention, which he really wished he hadn't, since the second they turned to face him, their eyes narrowed in anger, since Syria had jumped at the sound and pulled Naruto's arm in between her freest. You stupid horsewoman, you stole my darling away so you could make out with him, Maya yelled, pulling Naruto, who had returned to normal, into her freest. Aren't you supposed to be an esteemed centaur? You foul-mouthed snake woman, you have no right to speak that way of me, Syria yelled as she pulled Naruto back into her freest. And why do you call him darling? Are you pretending to be his wife? Well, Poppy will take her husband while she can, the harpy said in with a carefree smile, trying to win the two fighting girls. Get your feathered hands off him, Maya and Syria yelled in unison, as the three began a tug-of-war match with him, not noticing as Mrs. Smith drove up and watched the scene with a dumbfounded expression on her face. Fine then, we'll settle this with strength. The three let Naruto go and prepared for a fight, their eyes glowing in anger, not noticing Mrs. Smith get out of her car and pulling out a gun. Alright, enough, Naruto yelled, appearing in front of the three, taking the tranquilizer's darts that Samike fired in the back, shocking the four women. Darling husband master, the three yelled in shock and worry. Samike was stunned that he moved to block the shots. Wow, I never thought I'd end up hitting you, darling. Naruto glared at the special case worker as she used her favorite name to tease him with. They were just tranquilizer rounds, but after getting his by 3, I'm glad you're okay. I'm not okay, I still have a fucking headache. He glared at the sheepish-looking woman. Hey, could you not tell anyone about this, please? I'll get in trouble. Naruto glared at the woman before letting out a teared sigh, slowly nodding his head in agreement. It's not like the darts would hurt him thanks to Kyubi. By the way, where they normally come running out to me. Samike smirked and pointed to the door, where Naruto could see the three, barely poking their heads around the door. What are you three doing? Well, because we started fighting, you ended up getting hurt. They all had guilty looks on their faces. I'm sorry, husband. I'm a failure as a servant. Naruto gained a small sweat drop at Syria's apology. He thought he broke her of the master's servant thing. That's why we're going to try not to make any trouble for you. We all decided to hold ourselves back, Maya said with determination in her eyes. Hold back? Naruto didn't like where this was going. Poppy won't ask you to play with her anymore, and I won't use my like that again. Naruto let out a long sigh at that. Asterisk sigh asterisk, you three are idiots. The three girls looked hurt and confused by his words. Yes, there are times you three go overboard, and it is bad for you three to fight all the time, but that's what makes it fun having you three living here. They all gave him a surprised look. Asterisk sigh asterisk, back where I come from, before I was adopted by the Kimihito family, I was hated by my entire village simply because I was born on the day of a terrible disaster. All four women gasped. 3 of Syria and Poppy didn't know this, and Maya and Samike were shocked. He had sugar-coated it last time he said this, but they didn't know how much. But they could tell he was sugar-coating it again. For years I grew up alone and hated, never knowing why, and I never had a family, until the Kimihitos adopted me. It made me really happy when they did, and that happiness grew as each of you came into my life. I really am happy that all of you are here. And while you may be a little wild at times, that's the thing I love about you all. We're a family and families don't hold anything back. Naruto grunted as all three girls pulled him into a bone-crushing hug, happy tears in their eyes. Alright, that sounds good. The moment was broken by Samike, who was smirking at the three, who were giving her confused looks. I was right about leaving all of this to Darling here. They all gave her a confused look. You see, there's been a recent development regarding the program. She had a grin on her face that sent a shiver down Naruto's spine. There's a new article that allows interspecies marriages, though they're not sure it's a possibility yet, so they've been looking for a test case. Don't tell me you volunteered us? At her nod, Naruto gulped before slowly glancing around at the three girls. So Darling, we want you to choose one of these girls to marry. Samike had an evil glint in her eye. Would it be possible for me to enact one of the laws from my home that follows along with this trial? Mrs. Smith raised an eyebrow in confusion before motioning him to continue. Well, you see, back where I come from, there are a lot of clans, and because of this there was a law passed that if a clan is dying out or only has one member left, they are allowed to take on multiple wives in order to make sure the clan survives. Everyone's eyes widened at this. And since I'm technically the last of my clan, and the clan heir, even though my village hid it from me for 12 years, I still fall under that law. Samike blinked at that before a creepy grin spread across her face. Without warning, she pulled out her phone and turned around to call her superiors, another chill running down Naruto's spine. Turning back to face the 14s, Samike gave them all a wide, evil grin. They agree, you will still be under your old village's law. The three girls had wide grins on their faces as they all hugged Naruto, happy that they would be allowed to stay with him forever. However, there is one condition. They all looked at her. While you will be allowed to marry all three of them, you must also marry any other extra species that moves into the house with you. The three girls looked shocked at that. He would be forced to marry other girls. Alright, I'll do it. The three looked at him in surprise. It wouldn't be any different than what would happen back in my old village, and I have always wanted a big family. The four women smiled at that. However, before that, if I really am going to marry any of you, I guess I should tell you all more about my past. The room fell silent as everyone took a set. ****, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I am the third Jinchuriki for the Kyubi no Kitsune, the nine-tailed demon fox. Naruto let out a long sigh as he lay on his back, staring at the ceiling of his bedroom. We had just finished telling the girls about his past, before leaving them to their thoughts. Flashback. ****, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I am the third Jinchuriki for the Kyubi no Kitsune, the nine-tailed demon fox. They all blinked at him with wide eyes as he began to explain about his past. I come from the village of Konohagakure no Sato, the village hidden in the leaves, which is located on the hidden continent. The three extra species girls gasped. They had all heard about the hidden continent, and how dangerous it was. Samike narrowed her eyes. She had read about the hidden continent when she was going through the histories on the different races for the program, and she was told everything they knew when she had asked people from the other races. On the night that I was born, a madman attacked and pulled the Kyubi no Kitsune out of my mother, who was the previous container, and forced it to attack the village. With no other way to stop it, the fourth Hokage, the leader of the village, sealed it into me. His last request was that I be seen as a hero. The girls all had tears appearing in their eyes, even though he had barely started. Even though the presence of a Jinchuriki is supposed to remain a secret, the third Hokage, in all his wisdom, revealed my status to the village. Naruto paused as he whipped away the angry tears. Remembering the old man reminded him of how he screwed him over for 12 years. Over the next 12 years, I was hated and scorned by the village, who saw me as the demon reincarnated. Hell, I had more assassination attempts on my head before my first birthday than all the past Hokages combined. He gave a hollow chuckle at that, remembering his first kill was during one of the assassination attempts. The man was so confident that he gave Naruto a kunai and told him to defend himself, which Naruto did, stabbing the man in the heart when he unconsciously channeled chakra into the blade. After I became a genin, I thought that things would get better, but I was wrong. One of the people I considered a friend, a brother even, left the village for power, and I was sent to get him back, but I failed when he tried to kill me. He removed his shirt and a genjutsu that hid the fist-shaped scar that was inches from his heart. and the one that punctured his lung, which caused all of the women to gasp. All but a handful of people blamed me for him leaving. Even my former friends who helped me track him down turned on me. He looked down at the floor as the smiling faces of Tsunade, Shizen, Anko, Kakashi, Jiraiya, Hana, Tsum, Kurinai Yugao, and Team 10 flashed through his head. They were the only people that didn't blame him for Sasuke leaving. Everyone else, even Irika, blamed him for leaving. After a few months of this, I finally got sick of it, all the hate that I was getting. So when I gathered all of my things and stole things from other people that I knew I could use, and waited for the right time, when my sensei decided to take me beyond the barrier surrounding the hidden continent, I struck. A smirk crossed his face when he remembered Jiraiya's stunned face. He crossed his name of the Toad summoning contract, swiped the copy of the Hiraishin that Jiraiya always had on him, and left without a trace. I left my sensei and began a new life. Since I was 12 at the time, I was picked up by the police and placed in an orphanage, where the Kimihitos adopted me, and I've been here ever since, finally happy for the first time in my life. The room was silent as he finished his tale, everyone trying to absorb the knowledge they were just given. Flashback end. After he had told them about his past, he left them and returned to his room in order to give them some privacy as they sorted through everything he had told them. Naruto, are you still awake? Naruto got up and walked over to the door, which he opened to find Maya standing there in her pink nightie, which was see-through and gave him a perfect view of her body. Is there something you need, Maya? Naruto asked, trying not to stare at her chest or lower lips, which were in full view. Without saying anything, Maya launched herself at Naruto, wrapping him up and closing the door, before capturing his lips in a deep, passionate kiss. I don't care what you are, what you hold inside you, or what anyone says about you. You are still my darling, and I won't let anyone hurt you. He smiled, tears forming in his eyes as she kissed him again, which he eagerly returned. Don't forget about us. The two broke the kiss and looked over to the now open door where Syria, whose shirt was open to reveal her chest, Poppy, who was wearing an extra-large muscle shirt which showed her petite frise thanks to its size, and surprisingly Samike, who was only wearing a bra and panties. What are you all doing? Naruto asked as he managed to slip out of Maya's grasp. Isn't it obvious, darling, we're all here for you, Mrs. Smith said with a smirk as she walked over and kissed him, surprising him, since he never suspected she would like him, since he could see the love they all had for him in their eyes, which also held a little bit of lust. We will always be here for you, and we are going to prove that right now. She smirked, leaning in for another kiss. Lemon skipped. The next morning, as Naruto slowly began to awaken, he paused, feeling a slight weight on his chest. Confused, he opened his eyes and blurrily looked down, only for his eyes to widen. There, laying on his chest, was Mrs. Smith. For a second Naruto began to panic, before stopping as the memories of the night before flooded his mind. Slowly a small smile appeared on his lips. The four women currently lying around his room each accepted him, despite the fact that he was a Jinchuriki. Quickly substituting himself with a pillow, Naruto gathered his cloths and headed towards the bathroom for a quick shower. Once his shower was over, Naruto headed towards the kitchen in order to make the four women breakfast. Oh man, am I sore! Naruto turned to grin as Samike limped into the kitchen wearing her black suit, which was a little wrinkled. Good morning. Naruto kissed her cheek as he placed a cup of coffee and a plate in front of her. You know, I'm really surprised you joined us last night. She glanced at him with a smirk. Well, I wanted to show you that, just like the others, I don't care what you are, you're still important to me. Naruto blushed at that. He didn't know that she liked him as well. She's right. They turned to see the other three limping into the kitchen as well. We don't care that you're a Jinchuriki, all we care about is you, Sirius said with a smile as she knelt down next to Samike at the table. Yeah, Poppy loves her husband no matter what, the young harpy chirped as Naruto placed their breakfast in front of them. They're right, it doesn't matter what you are, all that matters is that we love you, darling. Maya smiled before taking a bite of food. But I'm the head wife since I was here first. Naruto chuckled at Maya as she started another argument with Syria and Poppy. Shaking his head at them, Naruto returned, headed back to a pot that was on the stove, and opened the lid before blinking and staring at the pot, which was staring back at him. Well, this is new. Everyone turned and stared as their mouths fell open. Standing by the stove was Naruto, whose body was now see-through like a gel, twisted around as of the pot, watching curiously as a girl, made of what appeared to be slime, rose out of the pot, watching Naruto with wide eyes. The girl appeared to be 15, just like the rest of them. Her body was a light bluish color, and she had light green hair. She was staring at Naruto with wide green eyes before a smile spread across her face, and she launched herself at Naruto, who had returned to a solid form. Before wrapping herself round him and mimicking what she had seen him do to Samike, she kissed him, but on the lips instead of the cheek, shocking 3 of the women and getting a death glare from Maya. "What the hell is that, and what is it doing to my darling?" Maya yelled, rising to her full height in her anger, while the slime girl simply smiled and wrapped her arms around Naruto once the kiss had ended. "Well, it looks like we have a new member in the family." Samike smirked an hour later after Naruto had finally gotten Maya to calm down. Currently they were sitting in the living room watching as Poppy and the new girl, whose body now resembled Poppy's, were playing video games. "Well, I don't mind, I think she's kind of cute in her own way, but what are we gonna call her?" The 3 fell silent as they tried to come up with a name for the slime girl. "Sue." They all turned towards Poppy. "She's a slime girl, so her name is Sue, I came up with it." The harpy smiled proudly, which the newly named Sue mimicked. "Sue! I like it, welcome to the family, Sue." The slim girl gave Naruto a wide smile before lunging at him, wrapping him in a hug. Naruto's eye twitched in irritation. The reason? He was signing form in order for the construction workers to remodel his house by building a special waterproof room, on Samike's orders, which meant they were going to be getting a housemate. Why is my life so complicated? Naruto asked himself as we turned to talk to the girls who were in the living room when he last saw them, only for it to be empty and the front door to be wide open. And it just got more complicated. Shaking his head, Naruto ran out the door and created a few clones before splitting up to look for them. Clone 1. C1, in his harpy form, flew above a nearby park, which is one of the only places that they had all been together. After a few minutes of flying, C1 spotted them all diving into some bushes upon seeing a few men in black suits. "Now what, we're stuck here?" Maya asked, thinking that those men were going to deport them, which caused C1 to chuckle a little as he landed on a tree above them in order to keep an eye on them, before a small cry got their attention. "What are you doing, Poppy?" Syria asked as they all turned to look at the harpy girl, who was soaking wet, her shirt now sticking to her body and showing of her petite frise through her white shirt. "Sue wanted some water, so I was going to give her some from this bottle, but—" "Oh, Poppy, you're so clumsy," Maya teased her with a warm smile. "Don't worry about it, it'll dry pretty quickly, so just deal with it for now." Suddenly, C1 grabbed his nose to stop the blood flow, as Sue, who was looking at the now wet Poppy in a trance, jumped at the harpy, capturing her lips in a deep kiss before slowly licking all of the water off of her, which caused her to come from the pleasure she was receiving from the slim. "Damn, I'm really glad Jiraiya's not here, he'd probably be drowning in his own blood at the sight of this," C1 thought as he watched Syria and Maya trying to pull Sue away from Poppy and getting soaked themselves, which caused Syria to back into a public faucet, which caused her to get wet and which attracted Sue to her, which caused C1 to fall out of the tree he was in with a nosebleed. Original Naruto. Naruto was running down a street, at a civilian pace, as not to scare anyone, when he froze at an intersection that led uphill, as the memories of 2 of his clones hitting him, the first set of memories causing him to chuckle and blush at the sight of Sue licking of all the water on Poppy and Syria. "Fuck, I need to get to the girls and get them home fast, if they find me with them who knows what could happen," Naruto thought as the memories from the second clone hit him. His clone had seen Hinata, Sakura and Ino walking through the shopping district, buying food and asking questions about him. "Someone, please save me!" Naruto turned at the sound of the scream to see a girl in a wheelchair rolling down the hill at an extremely fast pace. Without realizing it, Naruto, being entranced by how cute the girl was, moved in front of the runaway wheelchair and caught the girl, his face landing in her frise as his back hit a light pole. "Are you alright?" he asked her with a warm smile that caused her face to light up, not even noticing his legs had turned to fins. "Yes, I'm alright." She stuttered, getting a small chuckle out of him as he turned his fins back into legs, having finally noticed them and curious as to why they had changed before figuring that it had something to do with the cute girl in his arms. Well, that's good. If you wouldn't mind coming with me to find some of my housemates, I'll be glad to help you out later. She smiled and nodded as he sat her back in her wheelchair. Good, then let's get going. He smiled before they vanished in a swirl of leaves, missing 3 pairs of eyes narrowing at the end of the street. A few minutes later they arrived in the park, where Naruto sensed a large amount of killing intent coming from the bushes. What is going on? Naruto wondered as he pushed the girl towards the killing intent, where they found a wet Maya standing up against Sue. What are you for doing? Maya jumped in surprise and turned to face him, which allowed Sue to jump her and begin licking the sweat of her body until she came, just like the other two, who were still shaking from the pleasure. Once Sue was finished with Maya, she turned her sights on the new girl and jumped at her, only for Naruto to catch her in a trash bag. For some reason I feel like this is going to become a common occurrence. He shook his head and created 5 shadow clones since he felt 3 familiar chakra signatures headed his way, and they weren't the other 3 Jinchuriki. I want you 5 to take them home and make sure they stay there until I return. The 5 clones nodded, each grabbing one of the 5 girls behind him and vanishing in a swirl of leaves just as Hinata, Ino and Sakura entered the area. See, I told you it was him, the Hyuga heiress said, pointing at Naruto, with a lot more confidence in her voice than when he had last seen her. I'm sorry, but do I know you 3? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow and a smirk. Don't play dumb, you idiot, it's us, your friends, we came to take you back to the village, Sakura said, getting a glare from Naruto. Sorry, but you must have me confused with someone else. You see, all the friends I had turned their backs on me. His eyes flashed red, causing them to flinch. What are you talking about, idiot? We never turned our backs on you, the pink-haired bimbo said, as if the Sasuke retrieval mission never happened. Why would we turn our back on our friend in the last Namikaze? His eyes narrowed. So that was it, someone released his parentage, and they wanted him back just for that, bastards. Sorry, I don't know any Namikaze, my name's Naruto Kimihito, now if you'll excuse me I have to get home. He flipped them up before taking on his harpy form and shooting off into the clouds, leaving 3 angry kunoichi behind. Later that night, after blowing off some steam at seeing the 3 kunoichi, Naruto returned home, where he found the 5 girls and Mrs. Smith drinking tea, the waterproof room having been finished a while ago. Oh Naruto, welcome home. Sasuke smiled, standing up and kissing him. I would like to introduce you to your newest wife and house guest. She pointed to the girl Naruto helped earlier. Hello, I am a mermaid, my name is Miran Lorelei, and I will be your newest wife. I hope we can get along. She smiled as Naruto turned from her to Sasuke with a raised eyebrow. Did you tell her? Sasuke nodded, getting a long sigh from Naruto. Yes, and when I finished telling her, she actually begged to come here. That surprised Naruto a little as he turned to stare at the mermaid. Your life was so tragic and awe-inspiring, I just couldn't stay away, she said with stars in her eyes. All right then, well, welcome to the family. He smiled at her, causing her face to light up like a neon light. I hope we can get along as well, however, before we get too far into anything. He turned to face Sasuke. We have a problem. All of the girls looked confused as Naruto moved over and got a cup of tea before sitting down. After taking a drink, he out the cup down and let out a long sigh. They've found me. All of the girls gasped. After my clones brought all of you back here, 3 kunoichi and my former friends arrived, so they know that I'm in this town, and they let it slip that the only reason the village wants me back is because of my heritage. That's not the only reason they want you back. All of the girls jumped and turned towards the door where Jiraiya and Kakashi stood, a smile on their faces. Kakashi, Ero-sanin, what are you two doing here? Naruto asked with a smile as he gave his 2 senseis a hug. We were told that the girls pissed you off, so we tracked you down to talk, Jiraiya said before his eyes landed on the girls behind Naruto, more specifically Siria's Friest and Sue, who was practically naked. Ero-sanin. Jiraiya froze and slowly turned to face Naruto, who was giving him a warm smile, his eyes closed, as a dark and evil cloud formed behind him before taking the form of a snarling fox head with glowing eyes. I recommend keeping your eyes to yourself, Otherwise, I'll kill you. He drove his point home by slowly opening one of his eyes, which was glowing in ominous red. Sorry, I'll be good, he said, sitting down and trembling, getting a smirk out of Naruto and his girls and a surprised look from Kakashi. Naruto, how on earth did you do that? Kakashi asked, shuddering a little as his student turned to face him. Would you like to find out? Naruto turned towards Kakashi, his eyes still glowing, which caused the copy ninja to shake his head violently. Good, now would you mind explaining what Arrow Sanin meant? Psi 3 years ago, after Jiraiya returned without you, the council tried to mark you as a missing nin, which Tsunade stopped by revealing your heritage, which quickly spread throughout the nations, and lead the council to send any and every shinobi they had all over the elemental nations in order to try and find you. Since Jiraiya never said where you disappeared from. Naruto glanced at the old pervert. Well, I figured that if you went through all that trouble to get away from me, there must have been a reason, so I hide the fact that I brought you beyond the barrier. Naruto gave him a small smile before turning to Kakashi, waiting for him to finish. After 3 years of searching for you, the council concluded that you must have been beyond the barrier, so they put together a team full of your graduating class to track you down and convince you to come back, which Tsunade reluctantly agreed to after the Fire Daimyo ordered them to search, though she only granted us a year to look. So that explains why you're here but not why the council wants him back, Sirius said, looking at Kakashi curiously. While it appeared that Naruto trusted the man, she did not. The reason they want him back, aside from the fact that he holds the Kyuubi and is the son of the 4th Hokage, is that it was recently discovered that Minato was in fact Tsunade's son, who was thought to have been either killed or kidnapped a few days after he was born. In short, Naruto is the last remaining male member of both the Senju and the Uzumaki clan. Naruto froze at that. He stared at Kakashi before turning to Jiraiya, who nodded his head sadly. The council wants you back to use you as a breeding stock. They're hoping that if they add some DNA from the first Hokage to you that you'll gain the wood release thanks to Kyuubi, and then they can have an army of shinobi with wood release. That's not all. According to our My Spies in Kiri, a group of Kiri bloodline users who broke away from the rebellion, before they won the war, recently captured the Rokubi Jinchuriki and added a number of bloodlines to him, and thanks to the Rokubi he gained all of those bloodlines. Naruto's eyes widened at that. When the council learned of this, they demanded we bring you back at all costs so that they could add multiple bloodlines to you, everything from the Sharingan to the wood release and everything in between. Please tell me that Team 9 doesn't want me to suffer through the council's shit? Both Kakashi and Jiraiya smirked. No, actually, they don't. Once we received word from Sakura, Hinata and Ino, everyone split into teams to try and find you. Kurenai and Team Guy are trying to lead the others away from your trail while we came here, though Kurenai does want to see you again. Jiraiya smirked, causing Naruto's eyes to twitch. Well, now that we know why the council wants him back, all we have to do is come up with a plan in case any of them find him, Samike said before grinning. And I think I have an idea. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number as she went into the hall. Who do you think she's calling? Poppy asked as she jumped onto Naruto's back. Honestly, it could be anyone. I mean, she does have a lot of connections with a lot of different people, Naruto said, thinking about the Moen squad, who he met a few days after telling the girls about his past. Do you think she's calling Moen in to help? I mean, you are technically classified as an extra species, Maya asked, slithering over to him and wrapping her arms around him. Maybe she's calling in the Cultural Exchange Security Squad. I mean, since you are classified as an extra species and these shinobi are here to take you away, they could be classified as a threat that could cause a war to break out between the extra species and humans if they harm you, Maroun said, causing Naruto's eyes to widen, seeing as he hadn't thought of that before. Kakashi and Jiraiya's eyes also widened at this news. They had no knowledge of Naruto's status beyond the barrier. From the sound of it, if any of the 9 rookies or Asuma attempted to harm Naruto, they could cause a war between the elemental nations and the world beyond the barrier. Naruto, what exactly is your status within the laws that they put up for these extra species? Jiraiya asked. He had gone over the laws concerning the extra species in case Naruto turned out to be in a village full of them. Naruto, as well as the other 3 Jinchuriki, are considered a special case because of their abilities. Everyone turned as Samike re-entered the room, followed by Gaara, Yujito, and Fu. Therefore, they fall under laws pertaining to both the extra species and human, but there are also laws that they gain acceptance to, such as being able to harm another species. The four Jinchuriki blinked at that, since it was news to them. Wait, so you're saying that if we were caught in a situation like with those orcs a week ago, we would be able to stop them without and we wouldn't get into any trouble? Yujuto asked, a little shocked, since she was so close to that store when the hostage situation took place. Hell, she had bumped into the orcs while out on a walk. Yes, though we recommend you only get involved if you are caught in that situation or a similar one. Samike smiled, before everyone turned as a cloud of smoke appeared in the room. When the smoke cleared, everyone saw an orange toad about the size of Syria wearing a blue vest. Yo Jiraiya, what do you need? The toad asked as the old pervert began writing a letter. Yo Gamakichi, long time no see, Naruto said, catching the toad's attention. Naruto. Yo bro, it's been a while, how have you been? Gamakichi asked, pulling Naruto into a hug, since the last time he saw the blonde Jinchuriki was when he had his name taken of the toad's summoning contract so that Jiraiya couldn't reverse summon him back to the elemental nations. I've been good. Naruto smiled as he wrapped his arms around Maya and Syria, pulling both of them closer to him, causing Gamakichi's eyes to widen in shock. Dude, you finally got some girlfriends? Kichi chuckled before Naruto punched him in the arm. Alright, you two, enough. Everyone turned towards Jiraiya, who handed Kichi the knot he had written. Kichi, I need you to deliver this to Tsunade only. If anyone else tries to take it, kill them. Kichi nodded at the serious tone in Jiraiya's voice before vanishing in a cloud of smoke. Alright, now that that's done, we need to be heading back to the others, and try to throw them of you trail. Kakashi gave them his famous eye smile before the two shinobi vanished in a cloud of smoke. Well, now that that's over with, who's hungry? Everyone nodded their heads as they followed Naruto into the kitchen, where he began to cook dinner for the group. Naruto's eyes twitched in annoyance. Why, you may ask? Because he had let his guard down earlier after getting some food from an all-night convenience store, and was knocked out. When he woke up, he was tied up in some silk-like string and hanging from a rafter. Why do these things keep happening to me? He wondered with a sigh. First it was that thing with that greedy film director and Poppy's eggs, and now this. It had been a little over a month since the Konoha teams had found out where he was, though they hadn't made any attempt to contact him, except for Team 10 and Kurenai, all of whom were really happy for him. He had also been able to get to know Maroun, or Mero as she preferred to be called. He had also gotten to know Tyanishia or Tio and Zambina, both of whom were assigned to watch his house. Nearly a week ago, Poppy had told him that she was going to have an egg, which stunned everyone and sent them into a frenzy, especially Maya, since it appeared that she wanted to have his first kid. They had all calmed down when she told them that it was unfertilized, though before they could do anything else a short, creepy man claiming to be a movie director appeared in order to film Poppy having her egg. At first Naruto put up with the man since the girls seemed excited to be in a movie, but then Naruto nearly ripped out his throat when Sue revealed what the man was thinking, though he still had no clue as to how. The morning after that, Naruto had gone to a 24-hour store in order to get some extra food. However, once he reached the front door, something hit him from behind, knocking him out. Well, at least I know it's none of the teams from Konoha. He let out a small sigh of relief. Now that he was awake, he knew he could escape without any trouble. My, you're awake! I can't believe you passed out when I grabbed you. Naruto glanced at the owner of the voice, his eyes widening at the sight. I really do hate humans, I really do. Standing in front of Naruto was a beautiful girl. She had short purple hair with bangs covering the right side of her face, 6 pupilless red eyes and fangs. She was wearing a halter top that revealed a good deal of the lower half of her large wrists, shoulderless sleeves, and a shirt, all black with a gold and slightly frilly white trim. She has black carapace covering her arms from the shoulders down, and gauntlet-like plating on her digits end in sharpened points. What really caught his attention was the lower half of her body, which was that of a spider with a massive skull design on the back. Pleased to meet you, I am Arachne. She had a small smirk on her face. I assume this is the first time you've seen an Arachne fufu, are you scared? Good evening, my name is Naruto Kimihito, it's nice to meet you too. She blinked, a little stunned by his greeting. Well, you're certainly trying to act casual. She smirked, thinking he was putting on a brave face. What are you used to kidnapped? Well, there was this one time in the land of snow, then that time in the land of birds, as well as the time in the Star Village and that time in the Chunin exam. Naruto absent-mindedly counted of a number of times he had been captured and tied up before he got free, which earned a strange look from the girl. You're strange, you know that, so how long does the tough guy act last? Naruto glanced at her curiously. Why don't we find out? Before he could ask what she meant, she grabbed him and moved towards the rafters, pulling him into her feast, as they heard the door to the warehouse they were in open and a cop walk in. I finally escaped from that place, and I really don't want to get caught again, so I'll let you have your fun a while longer. I wouldn't want to capture something so pathetic anyways. Naruto glanced up at her face, his head still held tightly against her feast. If you want to get out of this alive, don't make a peep, alright? She squeezed him with two of her legs that she was holding him with, before her eyes widened slightly. Oh my, did something just get a little harder? She asked in a teasing tone, a small smirk on her face. Sorry, can't really help it, with you pushing me into your feast and the sweet smell coming from you. He gave her a foxy grin, causing her to blush. Before anything else could be said, she pulled him deeper into her chest as she backed up, avoiding the light of the police officer's flashlight. Few asterisk, that was close, the Arachne said before her eyes widened again and she smirked. Hey, did it get even harder? She teased with a smirk. Without warning, she tossed him away from her, before her eyes widened in surprise as Naruto transformed. Snapping out of the silk, Naruto's body began to change, his legs vanished, and we replaced with the body of a spider's, a little bigger than her own, with a red skull on the back. His teeth became fangs and he gained 4 more eyes, all of which became red and pupilless. Damn, that was a close one, he said as he landed across from Arachne, who had a look of surprise on her face, while the cop ran out of the building, freaked out by the noises. How did you do that? She looked at him in pure shock, though she couldn't stop her eyes from wandering all over his new form, or his shirtless chest, which had a fist-shaped scar a few inches over his heart. Sorry, did I surprise you? He chuckled sheepishly and scratched the back of his head as she slowly nodded. Sorry about that, I keep forgetting that most people and extra species don't really know about me yet. He changed back to his human form before jumping from the rafters, landing without a sound, once again shocking Arachne, since she had never heard of anything like this. What are you? She asked as she reached the ground and stood across from him, watching him curiously as she did. I'm one of a kind. She gave him a deadpan look, causing him to chuckle nervously. To tell you the truth, I'm not really sure what I am anymore. I was born human, had a mass of energy known as chakra sealed into me at birth, making me what's known as a Jinchuriki. And then I come here to these lands and gain the ability to transform into any extra species I see or come in contact with. So like I said, I'm not sure what I am anymore. Why are you telling me this? She asked suspiciously. She had just kidnapped him and now he was telling her things that are likely to be classified, of his own free will, so why would he tell her? Honestly, I don't know why I'm telling you this, I guess I just feel calm around you. Her heart began picking up speed at the warm and caring smile he gave her. No human had ever given her a truly warm smile. Before anything else could be said, Naruto appeared in front of Arachne and grabbed her before jumping out of the way as a volley of kunai landed in the spot she was standing. Well, it seems you've gotten even better, dope. Naruto and Arachne turned towards the owner of the voice only to see a pair of red eyes with 3 red tomos lazily spinning in each eye. Damn, this is not happening right now, Naruto glared at the newcomer, his eyes glowing blood red with slits for pupils. Who are you, and why did you attack us? Don't play stupid, dope, it won't work on me. The owner of the voice stepped into a patch of moonlight to reveal himself as Sasuke Uchiha. You may be able to fool the other idiots, but you can't fool me. I guess you're right, Naruto said, summoning a kunai from the storage seal on his arm and getting into a defensive stance. So what are you doing here? I thought you left to go play grab ass with the pedophile. Sasuke's eyes began to twitch as his Sharingan spinning in annoyance. I already took care of the snake, which is why Konoha allowed me back, he said heatedly, glaring at Naruto. As for what I'm doing here, isn't it obvious? I'm here to take you back. I'd like to see you try. With that, both boys ran at each other, Naruto's kunai clashing against the katana that Sasuke brought out. Ragnar watched in awe as the two clashed against each other, sparks flying everywhere as the two blades collided. Realizing that the situation was going from bad to worse, Ragnar climbed into the rafters and began spinning a special web that was unbreakable except for an Arachne. Well, you certainly have gotten better, Dobe. Sasuke smirked as the two clashed in the center of the building. But you'll never be able to beat me. Don't get so full of yourself, team. Naruto smirked as he pushed Sasuke away. I've been doing a lot of training since I've been gone, training that the village denied me, and guess what, I'm holding back. Sasuke scowled before smirking, thinking he was bluffing. So what if you've been training? I beat you 3 years ago and I've only gotten stronger. Sasuke bragged, which was true. He had gotten a lot stronger since their battle 3 years ago. You want to know something funny about our fight 3 years ago? Naruto became serious as he fell into a crouch. I was holding back. Suddenly a black dome of chakra surrounded him before it vanished to reveal Naruto as a miniature Kyuubi, with 9 tails slowly swaying behind him. Ragnar froze at the sight of him, her eyes widening in shock. She had never felt anything like it. Naruto was radiating pure power and, to her at least, warmth. She slowly licked her lips, feeling a warm sensation in her stomach, while watching his tails calmly sway behind him. Sasuke also froze at the sight of him, his eyes widening as he felt the power Naruto was radiating. It made both Orochimaru and Itachi look like nothing by comparison. His eye widened as something else hit him. Naruto was telling the truth. He had been holding back 3 years ago. With that thought in his mind, Sasuke's Sharingan began spinning in fury, as he jumped at Naruto, his sword sparking with electricity. Noticing Sasuke jump at him, Naruto took in a deep breath, before letting out a loud, powerful roar, which caused a small crater to form under him from the force, the building to shake, the windows to shatter, and Sasuke to be sent flying, right into Ragnar's web. What was that? Ragnar asked as she moved over towards Naruto, who was changing back to normal. That was called the Chakra Shroud. It's a technique that only a Jinchuriki can use when they have full control of the bijou inside them, he said as he watched the web holding Sasuke wrap around him of its own accord. That was my second version. I didn't think the third version was really called for. He smirked as the web finished enclosing around Sasuke, except for his head. Before anything else could be said, both turned towards the door, which was knocked down, to see Sasuke, Zambina, and Tio all standing there, weapons at the ready. You do realize you're late, right? The 3 women looked at Naruto and blinked before running over and pulling him into a hug. Naruto, you're alright? Sasuke said as she looked him over before glancing at Ragnar, then at a glaring, tied-up Sasuke, who also had his mouth wrapped up. Mind explaining what happened? With a small sigh, Naruto explained what had happened, from Ragnar kidnapping him to his small fight with Sasuke, which got wide eyes from the 3. He had told all 4 members of MON about his past, and he was glad he did. Seeing the stunned faces on Zambina's and Tio's faces was well worth it. I see, so that's what happened. Sasuke motioned for some members of the Cultural Exchange Security Squad to come in and take the tied-up body away, which caused Naruto to smirk. As for you, Naruto froze as she turned a small glare onto him. I hope you told your new wife about your past. Wait, what? Both Naruto and Ragnar asked as they stared at the woman. Naruto because he didn't think Sasuke would just put another girl in his house, and Ragnar because of what she was just told. What do you mean by wife? The Arachne asked, looking at them. Sure, during her brief time with Naruto she had grown to like the boy, hell, maybe even love, but to be his wife, without even knowing him, that was a little strange. What I mean is that he is going to be your new host. Sasuke had a small smirk that sent a shiver up Ragnar's back. Naruto was used to it by now. However, because of Naruto's unique abilities and standing, my bosses and the leaders from the different races that are in the cultural exchange program have all agreed that any and every girl who is put in Naruto's house for the program will become his wife. Wow! She simply stared at him, causing his face to heat up a little bit, before she smirked. So how many girls do you have so far? Well, there's Maya, she's a Lamia, Centauria, a centaur, Poppy, she's a harpy, Sue, she's a slime, Maroon, a mermaid, Zambina and Tio over there. The two girls waved, Tio giving her a small smile and Zambina giving her a toothy grin that reminded him of Kisame. There's also Samike here. She glanced over at the smiling coordinator. Wow, so how do you keep up with all of them? She felt a small chill run up her spine at his grin. Samike gained a small dazed look in her eyes and began drooling a little, and Tio and Zambina leaned in to hear his answer. They had both slept with him, but wondered how he would handle all of the girls in his house at once. They had asked, but every time they did, the girls would gain a similar look to Samike's. That's simple. I have a nearly unlimited stamina thanks to my clan's blood and my bijou. The three other women nodded at that, having experiencing his stamina firsthand. I also have this. He made a simple hand seal before the warehouse was covered in smoke. When the smoke cleared, the three women found themselves staring. Hundreds of Narutos filled every inch of the warehouse. The ability to create thousands upon thousands of clones, each one the same as me in every way. Naruto burst out laughing as Samike, Arachne, Tio and Zambina all fainted with nosebleeds and dreamy expressions on their faces. Chuckling at the reaction of the four women, he dispelled all but three of his clones, each of whom picked up one of the four women, as they left the warehouse, not noticing the pair of red eyes in the shadows. Naruto let out a small teared sigh as he sat on the beach portion of his underground training ground, enjoying the small break from all of the girls. It had been a few hours since he had returned home with Arachne, Samike and the Mon girls, and the reactions to the news of their new housemate did not go as he had expected. Poppy and Sue had instantly taken to the girl, but with how innocent they were he wasn't that surprised. Mero had also taken well to the girl, mainly because she confused her with a crab, though he still had no clue how. Maya had completely flipped out, like he expected her to. While she had agreed to him having more wives, she really didn't like the idea of sharing. She flipped out even more when Arachne, or Arachne as Poppy decided to nickname her, began teasing her. The reaction that surprised him, however, was Siria's, which, while calm on the outside, was that of distrust, which Naruto and the other Jinchuriki, who had come to meet Naruto's newest housemate, could see instantly. Though she accepted Arachne after a small incident which changed Siria's opinion of the Arachne, with them coming to some mutual agreement of being love rivals and sisters, though he still had no clue as to how they reached their mutual agreement. So this is where you disappeared to? Naruto glanced over his shoulder at the person approaching him and smiled softly at the sight of Fu. Yeah, I just needed a small break from all of the girls, he said calmly as his fellow Jinchuriki sat in the beach chair next to him. She was currently wearing a green string bikini which showed of her swimmer's body and B-cup size freest. I can tell, all of them are really excitable, especially when you bring a new girl into the house. She chuckled as she glanced over Naruto, who was wearing a pair of orange swimming trunks, which gave her a good view of his muscular chest. Just like Yujito when Samike made Gaara a host to that Draco girl and told him he could also be put under the marriage act like me. They both shuddered at that. The day after Mero had moved in, Samike signed Gaara up to act as a host, which wasn't that big of a problem. The problem arose when she told him that he could be placed under the same marriage act as Naruto. Yujito had gone into the training ground and went into her second-tailed form in order to blow off some steam, since she didn't like sharing any more than Maya. Yeah, who knew Yujito was the possessive type? They both chuckled at that. Yujito was a lot like Siria. She was almost always serious, which was why it was funny to find out just how possessive she was when it came to Gaara, just like Maya was with Naruto. Well, don't you two seem relaxed? Both Jinchuriki jumped in surprise and turned to find Yujito standing behind them, a twitch in her eye, causing them both tense at the sight of her. What are you two talking about? Nothing at all. Naruto stuttered out as they two higher-tailed Jinchuriki slowly backed away from the angry woman in front of them. While they may have more tails, Yujito was still scary as all hell. Really? Because for a second there it sounded like you were talking about me. Her eyes began to glow a deep blue, showing that she was angry. Run! That was the only thing that could be said as the two attempted to get away from the wrath of the twin-tailed Jinchuriki. Damn, Yujito sure is scary when she's angry. Naruto sighed as he sat on a park bench next to Fu, who nodded in agreement. Yeah, but at least we got away. Over the past hour, Yujito had chased both of them all over the underground training area. The chase lead all over until they left through the Jinchuriki's house, so as not to scare the girls, and fled into the city, using the shadow clones to lose Yujito. "Hey Fu, you want to go on a date?" Naruto asked after a few minutes of silence, getting a raised eyebrow from the Nanabai Jinchuriki. "What's with this all of a sudden?" She was curious. It wasn't that she didn't like Naruto. Hell, in the past few months that she had known him she had fallen for him, quite hard in fact, she just didn't think he liked her in the same way. "Well, we've known each other for a few months, and I've been wanting to ask you out for a while now, but every time we're alone we're interrupted before I can ask you." He had a small blush across his face as he spoke. "But I really do love you, Fu." Her face lighted up at his word. "I don't know exactly when it started, but at some point after you arrived I fell for you, just like the rest of my girls, and when I told them about it last night, they all agreed. You were part of our family before, but we want you to join it officially." He glanced over at her before his eyes widened as she leaned into him, her soft lips pressing against his. "I was wondering if you would ever ask, but I don't think a date would work with how long we've known each other. I think we should just skip to the fun." She grabbed his arm and both of them vanished in a swirl of leaves, missing a pair of perverted giggles. Lemon skipped. The next morning Naruto let out a small yawn as he went on an early morning jog with Syria, who had dragged him along after he made breakfast for the rest of the house. "Are you all right, Naruto?" Syria asked worriedly. He had been yawning a lot since she had dragged him on her morning run, though considering the way she found him that morning it wasn't that much of a surprise. She had gone to his room and found him lying under Arachne, while the other three lay around the room, all of them with wide grins on their faces. "Yeah, I'm fine, just a little tired still. I mean, Fu has almost as much stamina as me, and Zambina is almost as wild as you." She blushed at that, causing him to chuckle. "Put that together along with Tio and Arachne, and I didn't get much sleep last night." "I'm sorry, I didn't consider you not getting enough sleep with the four of them," she said, slightly depressed, lowering her head only to receive a flick to the nose from a smiling Naruto. "Don't worry about it, it's not your fault. Besides, I think of it as stamina training for when we have kids." Her face lighted up at that as she began to picture her holding a small centaur with spiky blonde hair, with a smiling Naruto holding both of them close. "You know you shouldn't say things you don't mean," said an annoying voice that Naruto recognized and which caused Syria to scowl. Turning, they both saw Kiba Inuzuka walking up to them with the rest of Team 8 trying to surround them. Naruto had described all of the members of the rescue squad to all of the girls, telling them their strengths and weaknesses in case they ever ran into any of them while out shopping. "I'm sorry, but do I know you?" Naruto asked with narrowed eyes, getting a smug look from the Inuzuka heir. "Don't act stupid, it won't work. We know you are Naruto Namikaze, and we are here to take you back to the village." Naruto turned his gaze towards the Aburame heir, as killing intent slowly began to leak off Naruto. "That's right, and if anyone's going to be having his child it's going to be me," said the Hyuga heiress with confidence Naruto had never heard before. "Not some stupid horse WOM." She coughed up blood as a fist connected with her stomach before a second fist sent her flying into a tree. "I don't care why you people are after me, but if you insult the people I care about in front of me, I'll kill you," Naruto said, his eyes glowing red as a foxtail and ears appeared, giving him a feral look. "Bastard!" Kiba yelled as he ran at Naruto only to be sent flying as Naruto backhanded him with an audible crunching noise, signaling that his jaw was broken. "If you don't want to end up like your friends I suggest you leave as well." Naruto turned his eyes onto the Aburame, who was obviously trying to analyze his skills. "It seems we have underestimated you. Rest assured that it will not happen a second time," Shino said as he collected Hinata, Akamaru getting Kiba, before leaving the park. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Syria asked as his fox features vanished. "I'm fine, but we need to return to the house." He saw the curious look on her face as she waited for an explanation. "Thanks to what just happened they know I have a weakness in you girls, and while I know you can defend yourself from normal humans, they aren't normal, and they'll do anything to get me back. Today just proves that, so we're going to be returning to the house and I'm going to start training all of you in the shinobi arts, in order to better defend yourselves." Nodding her head in understanding, they both left the park, either noticing the pair of red eyes watching from the shadows. "Wow, this is so cool," Nia said as she gazed out over the underground training field along with the other girls. It had been a few hours after the run-in with Team 8. After returning home, Naruto sent a summoning fox to Kakashi, asking him for help in training the girls, before telling the girls of his plan to train all of them in case they have a run-in with any of the shinobi, aside from Team 9. It is rather impressive, Sirius said with wide eyes while Poppy and Sue ran off to look at a group of flowers in a nearby meadow that was in sight. But where did it come from? That's simple. I spent a year building this with my clones. Maya, Syria, Mero, Arachne, Samike, and the 4 MON girls stared at him with wide eyes. 6 months to dig the damn thing out without letting the Kimihitos know, then another 6 months to move everything in here and set the climate seals so that certain things wouldn't be killed off by clashing climates. The girls all stared at him in amazement, before a loud explosion caught everyone's attention. Quickly running towards the site of the explosion, the girls felt their jaws drop at the sight before them. In the center of a large canyon, both Yujito and Fu were fighting at inhuman speeds, barely looking winded as they fought, while Gaara stood on a cloud of sand, hovering above them and acting as a referee. What in the world? Samike asked, unable to comprehend what was going on in front of her. Well, it looks like those two are having fun. Naruto smirked as Gaara, having finally noticed them, floated over, still keeping an eye on the two battling Jinchuriki. So, how long has this battle been going on? Roughly 3 hours, no ninjutsu, pure taijutsu and kenjutsu. He motioned at all of the kunai and shuriken littering the ground, before glancing at the girls, who were still gawking at the fight, waiting for an explanation. Sai, we had a run-in with Team 8 this morning and the Hyuga insulted Syria, so I knocked her and the mud out before Bug Boy and Akamaru took their teammates and ran. Sai, so you decided to train them in the shinobi arts? Naruto smirked and nodded his head. And I suppose the fact that a clone of you leading what feels like all of Team 9 and Kakashi down here means you asked Kakashi or Jiraiya for help. Again Naruto nodded, though he hadn't expected Team 9 to show up. Yeah, I figured we could use a little help training them. Naruto smirked again as he felt another chakra source enter the training ground, one that he knew quite well growing up. Though I didn't expect him to show up. Naruto nodded to Gaara, who sensed the new chakra signature as well, before moving to stop the spar. Yo, girls, we have visitors! Naruto yelled out, getting the attention of the two Jinchuriki, who moved to stand with the by Naruto and Gaara, before glancing over at the girls, who were still gawking at them in amazement. So you finally decided to train them? Fu asked, giving Naruto a kiss as she glanced over at the other girls with a smirk. This is gonna be fun. Maybe for you, but try to go easy on them. Naruto flicked her in the head, causing her to pout at that, before he was hit by a blur. Naruto, it's so good to see you again, I've missed you so much, said the only female member of Team 9, before she smacked him over the head. If you ever do something as stupid as running away again, I'll kick your ass all the way to Yuzushio and back, do you understand? Naruto slowly nodded his head, as he cried anime tears. Good, now introduce you to you friends. Honey, how is this girl? Arachne asked, looking at the female member of Team 9, while the rest of the team joined them. Sai, everyone, allow me to introduce you to my only friends from Konoha. He motioned towards Team 9. First is my distant half-cousin, and the only female member of the team, Tenden Higurashi Uzumaki. The girl smiled at everyone. It's nice to meet you. I hope Naruto hasn't been giving you any trouble, Tenten said, causing Naruto to cry more anime tears. Next, we have Niji, the cousin of Hinata. Niji bowed to them all before turning to Syria. I apologize for what my cousin said to you. He bowed, getting on his hands and knees, causing Syria to blink in surprise. My foolish cousin has had a crush on Naruto since she was small, and when it was released he was the son of the 4th Hokage. She was promised to him by the village and Hyuga Council, and believes that he belongs to her and the village. When she heard about all of you, she snapped. Again, I'm sorry. It's alright, Syria said uncertainly, not really knowing what to say in this situation. After Niji we have Rock Lee, and their sensei Might Guy. The two beasts of Konoha gave their patented good guy pose. That concludes Team 9. Next we have Kakashi, whom you might all remember. The lazy Jonin waved his hand from behind his book. Guys, these are my mates. First we have Maya, who's a Lamia. Maya waved at the shinobi nervously. Then we have Poppy and Sue. Poppy's the harpy and Sue's the slime. The two childish members of the team smiled and waved. Then we have Syria the Centaur and Arachne the Arachne. The two girls nodded their heads at the shinobi, not fully trusting them after everything Naruto had gone through. Mero the mermaid is next, as well as Samike, our host coordinator. Mero waved at them with a kind smile, while Samike nodded to them. And finally we have the Moen girls, Tio the ogre, Zombina the zombie, Monako the cyclops, and Doppel the doppelganger. All of the Moen girls gave their own greetings to the shinobi. And last but not least, our final guest, Naruto said, confusing everyone except the other Jinchuriki, flying through hand seals, before slamming his hands on the ground. Uzumaki style, binding chains. He roared before golden chains made of chakra burst from the ground, wrapping around a figure from the shadows, slowly pulling him into the light. One of the 3 ANBU guards I had as a kid, who actually did their damn job, Itachi Uchiha. The eyes of all of the Konoha nin widened, each of them surprised to see Itachi there, while Kakashi and Gai's eyes also widened in shock at seeing Naruto use the chakra chains, which was a rare ability in the Uzumaki clan, with the only known users being Mito Uzumaki and Kushina. "It's good to see you again, Naruto," Itachi said calmly, though on the inside he was as surprised as Kakashi and Guy at the fact that Naruto knew he was there, and that he was using the chakra chains. "How did you know I was here?" "After being adopted by the Kimihitos, I placed a barrier seal around the entire city. That tells me when a powerful chakra signature enters or leaves the city." The shinobi's eyes widened even more at that news, since that meant he knew they were in the city before they ever made contact with him. "I see, then I guess that means this place has seals protecting it as well?" Naruto grinned at that. "Yep, the house is surrounded by a barrier that can only be crossed if I allow it, by placing a special seal on you or by a Baijidama of the Nanabai or higher." Itachi smirked at that. It seemed Naruto was still as unpredictable as ever. "I see, then I guess that means I can drop the act while inside this house?" Naruto nodded, causing Itachi to smirk as the chakra chains vanished, releasing Itachi. "Good, because playing the bad guy around you is too much of a pain." "Alright, can someone please explain what's going on here?" Kakashi asked, looking between Naruto and Itachi, confusion written across his face as well as the other Konoha shinobi. "Why are you talking so casually to Itachi? He's a member of the Akatsuki. If you've forgotten, Naruto, you know the same people who are after you." "Calm down, Kakashi-sensei, I can explain." The tension in the air seemed to increase a little. "So you remember during that mission to find Grandma Tsunade, we reported a run-in with Itachi, in which Sasuke had gotten injured?" The Kakashi and Guy nodded their heads. "Well, when they arrived at the room I was staying at, Itachi used his Tsukuyami on me to explain his situation to me. Basically, he was ordered to kill his clan and become a spy inside the Akatsuki. Since then he's been sending me all the info he could on the other members, their strength and skills mainly, in order for me to prepare to face them if I needed to, and I've already shared all of his information with Fu, Gaara and Yujito in case they run into any of them. And we've been training like crazy and coming up with countermeasures for all of them, though we're having a little trouble coming up for ones for the leader Pain," Fu said, getting an understanding nod from Itachi. "That's part of the reason I'm here today." All of the shinobi perked up at this while all of the extra species girls were lost. "After a bit of digging and research at the old Uchiha hideout, I discovered that Madara, who had used a technique known as Izanagi to survive his battle with Hashirama, used a bit of Hashirama's DNA that he got during the battle to awaken the Rinnegan, which are the same eyes the leader of the Akatsuki, Pain, has." All of the shinobi's eyes widened at this. "With some extensive I learned how to give you and the other 3 behind you the Rinnegan." He pulled out a scroll and unsealed its content, 9 glass jars with a pair of Sharingan in each one, and a vial of blood labeled Senju blood next to each jar. "By implanting a pair of Sharingan which have reached the Mangekyo level, it should give you the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Then with the Senju DNA, it should activate the Rinnegan for you thanks to the bijou each of you hold." "Why would you come all this way to tell us this?" Syria asked curiously. If what she had been told about these Akatsuki was correct, then they wouldn't hesitate to kill him for betraying them. "I didn't come all this way," Itachi said, confusing everyone. When the Akatsuki got word that Naruto and the other Jinchuriki were going into hiding, Pain had us move up our plan to capture them. knowing that it would look suspicious if I came over here. I used a special clone the members of the Akatsuki are taught, and sent it under the guise of looking for you over here beyond the veil. That way if you weren't over here I wouldn't have wasted time coming over here like the Konoha shinobi. That makes sense. Everyone turned to Samike, who had a look of relative understanding. If these clones work like Naruto's shadow clones, then after T made contact with us and delivered its package, it could dispel, or whatever it does, and he can inform them that he didn't find a trace of them beyond the veil, thus saving him from suspicion and giving you a little more time to prepare should they come here. Itachi nodded at her deduction. What do you guys think? Should we go through with this and get the eyes? Naruto asked, looking at the other Jinchuriki and his girls, wanting to know their opinions. Glancing at each other, the girls all moved a little distance away and began discussing, knowing Naruto wanted their honest opinion on whether or not they should get the eyes. One hand, it would give Naruto more power and allow him to protect the people he cared about more. On the other, it would probably make him feel like he had cheated to gain the powers of those eyes instead, making him seem like the uchiha boy he hated so much, though Naruto would be using the power to protect his family, and no one said he had to use these powers should he get them, they were just there if he needed them. After a few minutes of talking it over, and a small heated debate between Syria and Arachne, the girls all headed back towards the shinobi, having finally agreed on an answer. Naruto, Fu, we talked it over. Maya began nervously, wondering how they would react to their answer. We all agreed that you should. Naruto let out a small sigh as he sat in a small cafe not far from his house as he thought back to what had happened the previous day. Flashback. Naruto, Fu, we talked it over. Maya began nervously, wondering how they would react to their answer. We all agreed that you should accept the eyes. Naruto and Fu blinked at the girls in surprise. It's not that we don't think you're strong enough to stop these people should they come here, Arachne said, drawing their attention. It's just that we don't want to lose you, and if these eyes will give either of you an edge over these people, we want you to have it. They're right, Naruto. Everyone turned to Itachi. I've seen the power Pain holds. If you want to win, you need every advantage you can get. I know, but... He glanced at everyone, before seeing the look in the girl's eyes. Sai, I don't really have a choice, do I? They all shook their heads. No, you don't, Samike said seriously. Like Arachne said, none of us want to lose you, whether it's to Konoha or the Akatsuki. Besides, I've been learning everything I can about the hidden continent from the extra species, and from what I've learnt, shinobi are supposed to use whatever they can to survive, and that's what we want you to do. Even if it means getting these eyes. Yeah, besides, no one said you have to use them, husband. Everyone blinked as they turned to Poppy, surprised at what she said. She was right. Naruto smacked himself at that, realizing that she was right. Just because he had the Rinnegan didn't mean he would have to use it or rely on it. It would be a trump card should all else fail. Sai, are you three alright in getting these as well? Naruto looked at his fellow Jinchuriki. If it will help me protect what's precious to me, then yes, Gaara said in his monotone voice. Like Miss Smith said, it's always good to have a trump card. Yujito smirked, wrapping her arms around Gaara. Sai, I'm in the same boat as you with this decision, Fu said, glancing at the girls. So when do we do these transplants? As soon as possible, Itachi said, handing them each a jar and vial before motioning for them to follow him. Flashback end. While Naruto and the others were getting the transplants, Kakashi and Team 9 began training the girls, starting with how to access their chakra. Are you alright, Master Naruto? Naruto was pulled out of his thoughts as his waiter came over to him. Yeah, I'm fine, Rin, thanks for asking. Naruto grinned at the waitress. Rin was an Inari. She had long flowing golden blonde hair and emerald green eyes. She was wearing an orange skirt, white button shirt and an orange apron, which was the uniform for the female workers at the cafe, while a pair of golden fox ears sat on her head and 4 golden tails swayed behind her. So, how's business been today? Business is good. Since opening we have had a number of customers, both human and extra species alike, she said with a smile, causing Naruto to nod in approval. After being adopted by the Kimihitos, Naruto used his devil's luck and transformation to sneak into and bankrupt 5 different casinos, making a lot of money. Using the money, Naruto opened up the cafe he was currently sitting in, and had used the extra exchange program to hire a number of extra species girls and humans to work as maids. With Rin being his head server and owner of the cafe, since he didn't want everyone to know he owned the most popular cafe in town. That's good. Have any of the people I asked you to keep an eye out for come in? He asked, glancing around the cafe. Yes, since their arrival in town they have stopped by on a number of occasions, Rin said, handing him a folder in which she had listed everything that had happened while the shinobi were there, including the conversations they had had, which were all mainly bad-mouthing his girls and talking strategies for taking him back to the village. I have also passed on your messages to the woman Kushina Yuhi. I have even offered her a job here as a cover in order to pass information to her more effectively. That's actually a good idea. Rin beamed as his praise for her plane. As an Inari, she literally got off when Naruto complimented her with him being a nine-tailed kitsune. His aura and presence was like a drug to her and other vixens, and when he complimented them it was like an orgasm. So did she accept the job? Of course I did. Naruto turned to see Kushina standing there holding a tray with a cup of tea and a cake. When Rin here offered me the job, I couldn't really refuse, since we do need money while we're here in order for us to blend in and get food. Besides, working here gives me the chance to see my little brother. She smirked as he chuckled. It's good to see you again to Nine-Eye. He smiled as she placed the cake and tea in front of him. And sorry about leaving like that, I wasn't trying to hurt you guys or anything. Don't worry, I know, and I'm not mad, though I do wish you would have written to let us know how you were doing, and why you did it, she said seriously. Enko and Lady Tsunade nearly castrated Lord Jiraiya when he told us you left. It took everything me, Shizen, Yugao, Hana, Tsum, Gai, Kakashi, Izumo, Kotetsu, and Denma had to stop them. Naruto chuckled at that. He could see Jiraiya cowering while the people he considered his siblings holding back his grandmother and sister figure. By the way, can I ask how exactly you fall under these extra species laws? Naruto raised an eyebrow at her question. When Lord Jiraiya and Kakashi made contact with you, he sent a letter to Tsunade telling her about this. She sent a letter to us through Haruno, who signed the slug contract, and told us that Jiraiya had sent her some news that you might fall under these laws, and if you do, to find out how it would affect our mission in retrieving you. Naruto nodded in understanding. Well, me and the others Jinchuriki are kind of a special case. You see, we fall under the extra species law that protect them from humans attacking or abusing them, which would be seen as an act of war between the extra species people and humans. Kushina paled at that. That meant that if they followed through with their mission to forcibly take Naruto back, it could spark a war between Konoha and the rest of the world, something she doubted that Konoha would survive. But I also fall under certain laws that wouldn't apply to the extra species people, like murder, though if I kill them in self-defense of myself or my girls, then I'm in the clear. When you say self-defense of your girls, does that mean physical harm of emotional? Kushina asked, thinking of her team and their actions the previous morning. Both. Any emotional harm would be considered abuse by humans and have similar consequences as a human hurting an extra species person. Kushina lost all color in her face as she face-palmed at her team's stupidity. Because of their reckless actions against Naruto, they could have started a war. My team is full of idiots, she muttered to herself as she shook her head. She had expected something stupid from Kiba but not the other two. Sorry about that, I'll see what I can do about getting this mission cancelled. Anyways, I should get back to work. I was good to see you again, Naruto. With a small smile and bow, Kushina left to get back to work. Well, that was interesting. Naruto smiled as he finished of his cake and tea. But I need to get going as well. Keep up the good work, Rin. The Inari nodded her head, her tails wagging as Naruto kissed her on the forehead before paying for his meal and leaving the cafe. As Naruto walked down the street, nodding to the people and extra species along the way, he could feel 5 chakra signatures following him from the shadows. You can all come out now. I know you're there and I know you've been following me since I left the cafe, Naruto said once he reached a small lake just outside of town. That way, if it came to a fight, no civilians would get hurt. Turning around, Naruto narrowed his eyes as 5 ANBU appeared. The only difference between these ANBU and the ones he knew, these had the kanji for root on their masks instead of the leaf symbol, indicating that the old war hawk Danzo was tired of waiting. Naruto Uzumaki, you are to return to the village at once by order of the council. If you refuse, we are to take you by force. one of them said, marking him as the leader of this group. Sorry, but you got the wrong guy. Naruto turned and began walking away before dodging to the side as a barrage of kunai sailed past him. Didn't you hear me? I said you got the wrong guy. You can't fool us, Uzumaki. We know who you are thanks to our censor. Naruto scowled at that. If they had an experienced censor with them, then there was no way he could let them live. Fine then, if your master wants me back that badly, then come and get me. He began flying through hand seals before slamming his hand into the ground. Uzumaki style, 5-sided barrier. From his hand 5 lines shot out in different directions, faster than anyone could see, before forming a large barrier around them. I hope you bitches are prepared, because you're not leaving here alive. Summoning 2 kunai, Naruto charged, and clashed with 2 of the root shinobi while the other 3 began flowing through their own hand signs. Water style, water whip. The 3 yelled as they used water from the lake to send ropes at Naruto, which wrapped around his arms and throat. Give up, Uzumaki, we have you outnumbered. Naruto smirked at that. These idiots really thought they had him. You guys really are stupid, you know that, he said, turning his eyes towards the 3 holding the water whips. His eyes were slitted with black ring around his eyes. There's a reason I lead you out here, and it wasn't just so no one would get hurt. That's Sage Mode, he's gathering nature chakra. One of them yelled before a clawed hand pierced his heart, while the Naruto being held by the water whips dispelled. You know, it's considered rude to reveal another person's technique. He smirked as his fox ears and tails appeared before one of his tails extended and pierced the root member trying to sneak up on him. It's also rude to attack someone while they're talking. Also, did I forget to mention the neat little trick that I gained when I crossed the veil and became a kitsune? Naruto asked, removing his arm and tail from the root shinobi, allowing their bodies to fall to the ground before they burst into blue flames, reducing them to ashes in seconds. I gained an affinity to fire, but instead of regular fire, I got fox fire, which is just as hot as the flames of Amaterasu, though they don't burn for 7 days. Instead they turn everything they touch to ashes until I tell them to stop. Perks of being a QB. He smirked before flying through hand seals. Kitsune style, sea of blue flames. He shouted, spitting out a sea of flames, incinerating the 3 root A and BU, along with everything inside the barrier. Well, that was boring, but at least now I have something to rate myself on in terms of how strong I've become. Naruto looked around the now destroyed clearing, before dropping the barrier and returning home, wondering how the girls' training went. Naruto had a small smile on his face as he sat on a cliff, watching as his girls all trained with the help of Team 9, including the 3 new girls in his care, one of whom he still wasn't sure how he got stuck with. The first new girl was Ki, who was a dryad. Naruto had met Ki when he went on a small picnic with Poppy, Sue and Zambina. She had attacked them, namely him, thinking that he was trying to harm Poppy, who had saved her before, after a small fight, in which Naruto showed her his powers, including the small amount of skill he had with his new would-release bloodline. Note 1 Jutsu. Ki began to slowly warm up to him, and Sumike decided to make him her host, much to his confusion. The second girl was Lala, who was a Dullahan. The day after his little encounter with the root A and BU, Naruto received a letter telling him about his coming death, which he ignored completely. Later that day he had met Lala, who claimed to have sent the letter, being an agent of death sent to collect his soul since he would die soon. To which Naruto only laughed at before dragging her to Sumike, who told him he was going to be her host. The third girl was Lilith, who was a devil. During one of his dates with Syria and Arachne, Lilith had tried to cause a little mischief for them, which backfired on her thanks to Naruto's devil's luck, which somehow ended up with her captured and enslaved by Arachne, who turned her into a submissive masochist, which slightly unnerved Naruto, while also turning him on a little. Once Sumike learned of this, she made Naruto the girl's host, telling Arachne that she had to take care of her. Naruto shook his head to clear it of the memories of how he had met the 3 new additions to his family. You know, I think they're getting a lot better. Naruto glanced over his shoulder as Fu appeared behind him, holding out a drink for him. Yeah, they're doing better than I did. Of course, everything I know is more or less self-taught, Naruto said as he took the drink from Fu. It was true, Even though Naruto had been training like crazy since he had been adopted by the Kimihitos, he wouldn't really say he was any more skilled than he was before he left. I know, of course that's how it is for most Jinchuriki, Fu said, watching the girls. What he said was true for almost every Jinchuriki. They were all more or less self-taught. Hell, she only knew 5 or 6 jutsu herself. By the way, what are we going to do about the Konoha shinobi? Honestly, I don't know anymore. Naruto shook his head in annoyance. After his little meeting with Team 8, nearly a week ago, the other 3 Konoha shinobi had approached him, each team individually, then the final time as a group, with the last time being one of the last straws from the shinobi. Flashback. Naruto was sitting on a park bench, a small smile on his face as he watched Poppy and Sue playing with some kids in the local park, before his smile turned into a frown as he felt the Konoha shinobi approaching. Poppy, Sue! The two looked over at him. I want you to take all of the kids and leave the area now. Once you're enough away, I want you to return home and stay there, got it? But why, husband? Poppy asked, confused. Poppy, please, just do it, alright? Poppy hesitated for a moment before nodding her head and leading the kids away with Sue. Taking a calming breath, Naruto slowly released it as all of the Konoha shinobi appeared around him. Teams 7, 8, and 10 all looking like they had won something, while Team 9, Kakashi, Kurinai and Jiraiya all looked like they didn't want to be there. You know, you people are really becoming annoying, Naruto said as he glanced around at all of the shinobi. How many times do I have to tell you to leave me alone? I am not this Naruto Uzumaki person you keep talking about. You can drop the act, Dobe. He turned towards Sasuke, who was smirking, his Sharingan already activated, as he held up a scroll. The council is tired of waiting for you to return peacefully, so we have been ordered to take you by force. You know what, I'm sick of this. Fine, if you all want me so bad. His ears and tails suddenly appeared as black marking appeared around his eyes. Then come get me. At his words, both Sasuke and Kiba charged at him, using their clan's taijutsu styles and trying to get an edge on him, only to become frustrated as he dodged and blocked all of their attacks. Is this the best you got, pathetic? With swift movements, both boys were sent flying back, twin gashes across their chest. You baka, how could you do that to your friends? Sakura yelled as she charged at Naruto, finding herself face down in the dirt, Naruto's tails pinning her down with one wrapped around her throat. Friends, what friends? All the friends I had back in that hellhole abandoned me when I let the Uchiha leave, Naruto said, getting an angry look from everyone, especially Sasuke, who was clutching at the wound on his chest. That's right, Uchiha, like I told you before, I was holding back all those years ago, because I thought you were my friend, but not anymore. In a burst of speed, Naruto threw Sakura into a tree, before knocking everyone else down before reappearing in the center of them holding the newest member of Team 7, Sai, by his throat. You know, I really am sick of you guys. I left so that I wouldn't have to deal with any of your shit anymore. The villagers all looking at me like I'm some kind of monster, the other shinobi think of me as a failure, the elders and council thinking of me as a weapon for the village. I'm really sick of it. The shinobi were all glaring at him in anger at what he said, and regret from Team 9 and his siblings. So I'm going to make an example. I'm going to trim this annoying little tree of its root problem. Sai's eyes widened at Naruto's choice of words before he coughed up blood as Naruto's tails ran him through all of his vital organs, before he burst into blue flames. As the flames died down, reducing Sai to ashes, Naruto glared at each of the shinobi, with cold hard eyes. This is the last warning I will give. If come after me or any of my family again, I will kill you, then I will turn my attention onto that hellhole you call a village. His eyes began to glow blood red. When Kyuubi attacked all those years ago, its powers were being reduced since it was under someone else's control. If it caused that much damage with its powers reduced, imagine what I can do with all of its powers under my control. With his piece said, Naruto turned and walked off, leaving the Konoha shinobi in a state of shock. The older shinobi were all pale, remembering the Kyuubi's attack all those years ago, remembering the amount of destruction it caused, if what Naruto said was true and its powers back then were being held back. They could only imagine what its true power was like. The younger shinobi were all pale. While none of them may have known or liked Sai that much, they never could have imagined that Naruto would kill a fellow Konoha shinobi, especially in such a ruthless way. Flashback end. After that day, the Konoha teams had literally gone off the radar, though Team 9 and Kakashi still came over to help train the girls, in which time Naruto had apologized to them but informed them that his threat was true. After that little meeting, they've stopped trying to get me to go back, though they keep trying to come up with plans to get me back, at least according to Rin and Kurenai. Fu chuckled at that. She remembered when Naruto had taken them all to eat at his cafe, the Extra Beauty. All of the girls were surprised when they found out Naruto was the owner of the place, and even more so when they learned Kurenai was working there. So basically we just wait for them to make a move, right? Naruto nodded, a small smile on his face as he watched Maya and Poppy train on a jutsu, seeing as both of them had amazing chakra control, even though their chakra levels were pretty high. Yeah, but for now we should focus on the girls' training. Naruto stood up before jumping off the cliff, followed by Fu, headed towards the girls' location. Hey girls, can you all come over here real fast? Do you need something, darling? Maya asked once all of the girls were together, with Kakashi standing up to the side since the other Konoha shinobi had returned to the place they were staying. Well, I noticed that Kakashi gave each of you a jutsu to learn, which shows that you're all advancing pretty fast. All of them beamed at his praise. Because of this, I was planning to see what your chakra elements were so that I could find a jutsu specifically for you. So how are you going to do this? Syria asked curiously. She had read about chakra elements from Naruto's library, but it didn't explain how to find out which one you had. With this, he pulled out a small slip of paper and handed one to each of the girls. This is chakra paper. By channeling your chakra into it, it will tell you what chakra nature you have. All the girls had wide eyes at this. The paper will have a different reaction depending on which of the 5 chakra nature you have. Fire. The paper will ignite and turn to ash. Wind. The paper will split in 2. Lightning. The paper will wrinkle. Earth. The paper will turn to dirt and crumble away. Water. The paper will become wet/damp. He channeled a little chakra into the slip he was holding. The girls all watched in amazement as it split in half, before one side burst into blue flames while the other became wet. As you can see, my main affinity is wind. I also have a secondary affinity to water thanks to my Uzumaki blood, and I gained a fire affinity when I became a kitsune. These are my affinities. Everyone turned to Fu as she channeled chakra into her own slip of paper, which split in half before one side turned to dirt and crumbled away while the other side became wet. I originally had an earth affinity with a secondary water affinity, but I also gained a wind affinity when I became a kabutomushi. Wow, that's so cool. Poppy and Sue both had stars in their eyes. Can Poppy go first? Sure, Poppy. Besides, I wanted each of you to go one at a time so I could see what you have. Poppy smiled before she began channeling chakra into her paper, which split in half. Well, it looks like you have a wind affinity, Poppy. Good job. Poppy beamed as Maya moved forward. Alright, it's my turn. Maya channeled chakra into her slip, which burst into flames, though instead of regular flames, they were pink. Well, you have fire, Maya. Not really surprising since you're a Lamia and all. Maya smiled at him. I would like to go next. Syria stepped forward and channeled chakra into her paper, which crinkled much to everyone's surprise. Wow, a lightning affinity. I was not expecting that. Fu chuckled seeing the surprised look on Syria's face. With an excited look on her face, Sue bounded forward and began channeling chakra, causing her paper to become soaked, which she then absorbed into her body. Water, well, that was kind of expected. Good job, Sue. Sue beamed at Naruto's praise. It looks like I am next, Mero said as she held up her slip, which split in half before getting wet, then freezing over much to everyone's shock. Well, that was surprising. All of the girls looked at him waiting for an explanation. Mero has a sub-element, which is a combination of the main elements in equal quantities. It's known as a Kekii Genkai back home, he said as he remembered Haku. But to see one of you girls with one is amazing. Good job, Mero, said Mermaid smiled as Arachne stepped forward. I wonder what I'll get. She channeled chakra into her paper, and everyone stared in shock as her paper wrinkled before bursting into flames. Okay, now that was unexpected. Fu said, stunned that Arachne had 2 elements, both considered 2 of the most dangerous ones. Yeah, well, we can wonder about that later. It's still good. Arachne smirked at Naruto's smile before Tio stepped forward. I wonder what I'll get. She held up her paper, which turned into dust. She was followed by Zambina and Lala, who's also turned into dust, while Lilith got fire and Ki got wood, which wasn't really surprising. Well, now that I know all of your elements, I think I can begin looking for jutsu that will suit you all, and if not, I will help each of you create your own personal jutsu, Naruto said with one of his foxy grins before he found himself being suffocated by Syria, Maya, Arachne, and Tio, all of whom had pulled him into their magnificent chests. The end. If you wants to see fully uncensored plus all lemon scenes of this story, check it out on my Patreon, link is in the description.
Now watch daily exclusive uncensored lemon stories and mature content, along with NSFW images, featuring harem girls characters from the fics. Access all this and more on my Patreon. Click the link in the description to explore.